Quality is remembered long after the price is forgotten. Apparently that quote is by Gucci. But I could also be lying, to be honest. I really hope whoever said that was saying that ironically, because if you buy the clothes today, the quality is forgotten even before you leave the store. We all know this feeling. You pick up the cute sweater, the price tag says 80 euros. You think, well, maybe the quality is good, and then you touch it and you feel like it was made out of the plastic bags. So today I want to talk about why the clothes are feeling so cheap now. I don't mean fast fashion brands. This is kind of obvious. I mean even expensive and luxury high-end brands. In general, clothes just feel weaker, thinner, less durable, like they designed only for 3 washes and then they mysteriously disappear. So let's talk about what actually happened to clothes quality. By the way, if you're wondering what this channel is even about, don't ask me. I have no idea. I'm just filming whatever pop-ups in my brain. And you know, today is this topic and tomorrow maybe I will be juggling for 10 minutes straight without blinking. I hope it clarifies the situation here. And before someone appears in the comments like a Victorian ghost whispering, well, actually, mandatory disclaimer session. This is not a video about shaming people for buying affordable clothes or telling everyone to dress like they are in the 19th century or pretending people always used to wear nice clothes and they were always expensive. People always wore cheap clothes. The difference is how the clothes are made now and how the industry is working today and what changed dramatically, especially in the last let's say 30 years. So today we're going to talk the main reasons why the clothes are feeling and looking cheap. Materials got worse, construction got worse, and the industry that stopped designing clothes to last. Basically, modern fashion is built on planned obsolescence, like smartphones. But instead of battery death, your sweater will develop a mystery holes in the armpits. We will start with the obvious one. Materials. If you pick 2 sweaters, one will be vintage and second will be from the modern store. You will notice the difference immediately. Vintage clothes will feel thicker, heavier and more dense. And modern clothes very often feel like they're spun of a thin air and disappointment. So what happened? First of all, fiber quality. Modern textile production prioritizes speed. Cotton is harvested faster, wool is processed faster. This means that fibers will be shorter and thin. And short fiber will create yarn that will break faster. And this is why your sweater will turn into its own ecosystem only after a couple of washes. Then we have synthetic blends everywhere. Polyester will make your garment last longer, but on the other hand, it feels like plastic. It's very often stiff and also you will sweat in it so much you cannot even imagine. And brands mix polyester into everything, into wool, cotton, linen, into every natural fibers that you can imagine. And you will even see this in luxury brands. You will see this fancy woolen sweater and you read the label and it will only have like 50% of wool maximum. Then, I don't know, 40% will be polyester and last 10% will be left for your personal disappointment. What else happened to fabric is that fabric weight dropped. And it's the same reason, because yarn is thinner, lighter fabric will cost less, and the shipment will be cheaper. These thin fabrics may be draped nicely on a hanger, but on a person who has a little more curves than a hanger, it can look disastrous. And thin fabrics will wrinkle faster and they will lose their structure faster if they had one to begin with. So the garments feel less substantial and they feel very temporary. I often think of it like a clothing equivalent of a paper cup. Now let's talk about one thing that maybe most people do not often think of. It's the construction of the garments. If you like sewing and creating garments by yourself, you know that the most important part is constructing a garment. It's something similar to architecture. Without a good planning, you will not have a great building. I see so many bad garments. Trust me, I'm kind of expert in this part. To not be very boring about the construction part, it basically seaming, stitching, reinforcements, and some details that you have in your garment. And this is the part where modern clothing are really starting to collapse. You know, you can't make a Gothic cathedral from IKEA shelf, and you cannot make good clothing with a poor construction. The first major difference is stitch density. I'm sorry, I have to take my kids to work today. Older garments will have more stitches per inch, and modern garments will reduce this amount of stitches to make clothes faster, which makes seams really weak. And sometimes when you put on shirt, it stretches already, you can see all the seams and you feel the fabric is screaming. Second, no reinforcements. Older garments very often have reinforcements in stress area, waist seams, shoulders, so places where the seams would likely break more easy. And modern garments will often skip this part because it will take more time and cost more money. And here's the last, but I think the biggest reason. Clothes today are simply not designed to last. We have micro trends, not just fast fashion, but ultra fast fashion with new collections every single week. And the system depends on your constant consumption. So durability is not the goal here. The goal is turnover. It's a very simple logic. If you buy a garment that will last 10 years, you will buy only one garment. But if you have a garment that will last maximum 1 year, in 10 years you will buy 10. And guess which business model wins? Exactly. The one where your dress dissolves like a tragic heroine in a Victorian novel. Then we have psychological consumption. Fast fashion is training people to view clothes as something temporary. Social media accelerate the cycle, and garments are treated like disposable aesthetics. You wear something for a season and then it will become outdated, even if it's perfectly fine. You know, if the body who created and sewn this dress in 1930s had the same mindset and just threw it away after one season, I would never wear that in 2026. Then you also have the price illusion, because the strange fact that actually clothes are cheaper than they used to be before, because, you know, a well-made coat in the 1950s would cost a significant amount of salary for the working class people. So people bought fewer garments and they actually took care of them, or they created them themselves. And today you go shopping, you come home with 2 big bags full of clothes, but the quality of these clothes will be very questionable. But you create this illusion that you have abundance. But actually, this is a quality delusion. So why do clothes feel cheap now? Because in many cases, they actually are. Materials changed, constructions changed, and the industry changed. What I feel very interesting, that more and more people rediscovering such things as tailoring, sewing, knitting, mending their clothes, or DIYing stuff. This is something that people used to do out of necessity, but right now in current situation, it feels like an act of rebellion. Personally, I do like old vintage clothes, but not because everything that is old is better, but because you can clearly see the construction of it, that it was meant to last. Of course, vintage clothing is getting more rare. I like to create vintage garments from patterns, from knitting, sewing patterns. It's the way to resurrect this type of tailoring, but also you will not smell of cigarettes and fighting with holes, wearing dress and you're afraid to breathe in it because it's 80 years old and probably can fall apart. Right now I'm wearing this type of dress. So now I want to ask you something. What is the oldest piece of clothing that you have in your wardrobe and you actually can wear it? Some people have coats older than their grandparents, and some of my modern t-shirts aged like medieval kings. I mean, they collapsed unexpectedly. I don't know what I will be talking next time, but I hope I see you there. Bye!